Okay.
And it was right before, obviously, AGQ14 started. And I used to watch those videos a long time ago, and I realized, man, some of these are actually, quote, speed runs of people trying to go as fast as possible. So that's kind of when it started, man. Kind of mid 2013. That was my first time really discovering the world of the speedrunning scene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I personally, I love watching your stream. I love sitting down. And when you mentioned the whole game show thing, I remember it was about a week or two ago on a Friday. You did this huge big game show stream, watching game shows on your stream and just talking about them and just having fun. And that was one of the most fun sort of streams I've ever watched. So I had to say that one. But
Yeah.
I noticed something about your stream. You tend to keep things very family friendly, very community based. Um, what is the reason for that, or is there any real reason that
Well,
you do
here's the
that?
thing, and it's kind of funny 'cause a lot of times I'm like, I hear, it's like, this is just how I was raised. I was
Right,
raised with my grandparents in the country. We didn't cuss. We didn't do all that freaky deaky stuff. That's just how I was raised. So a lot of times people think I'm holding back, but I'm like, if you've known me for any time, that's just how I am. That's how I am in person. That's how I'm in real life. So like when you see me on stream, that's how I'm in person. There's no difference. I'm not
right,
one of those streamers who has a show per se. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because they have their own stream persona in real life, but that's just who I am. So because of that, it may naturally, especially in the Twitch world where there's some crazy things happening in some streams, and sometimes it attracts people, and sometimes it may push people away because they feel like, oh, I can't see what I want to. I'm like, you know what? There's no hate because my stream, just like anyone else's stream, is not for everybody. If you like it, if you want a nice little chill, comfy atmosphere, you can't worry about a lot of the silliness of the world and Twitch. You need to step away from the problems you may face in real life. Yo, you're welcome. We sit and chill. We leave all the drama because there's enough drama in the world as it is. We don't need to add to it. And that's
Yeah.
just how my stream has kind of gotten classified per se. And I mean, people like it. I like it. It must be working because people still watch me. So
Oh yeah, yeah. I gotta say, like,
you
geez,
know.
I think 5 years ago I was contested on your Pro and your Price is Right shows, and I was definitely hyped for me back then, 5 years ago now. So that was awesome.
Yeah, the game shows are like one of the probably the biggest. In fact, I just finished doing game shows before I started this because I've kind of started like doing game shows every Friday, well at least some day on the weekend, and it definitely was a thing that has been pretty hype. Everybody, you just can't go wrong with game shows, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think really from when you started, you had a really quick rise into having a serious following. I mean, from my knowledge, I mean, you went real fast.
Well,
What do you think?
man,
What do you
that
what,
was
do you think
something.
about that? I guess I would say, is there any kind of reason you did that? You think is it the game shows was a big part of it, or why do you think that was?
Well, here's the thing. When I first started streaming on Twitch, a lot of the people who had followed me, because mind you, I was working on game shows since like 2003. Like the first game I ever made was Pressure Luck, and this was around when they brought back the remake of Pressure Luck on Game Show Network. And so I had people who had been following my website, my gaming website, for some time, just downloading my games, give me, heartaches like, hey, add this, we want this, and doing that for years. So when I was on Blog TV, it was like 40, 50 people watching me, but it was mainly people from my forum
Okay.
who were game shows. So when I first kind of moved over to Twitch, a lot of people were kind of scattered because, again, I said the site had shut down. So a few of them followed me over. In fact, my first follower was someone who's been watching my game shows for years or playing them. And so I had a little people, a group, not that many, 20 or so. But I think a lot of the people I initially got were because of some of the streams I was watching. You begin to kind of cross-pollinate your viewership, because I was probably TMR, Deucer. A lot of our viewers kind of crossed over a little bit because I was doing a lot of racing with SRL, and stuff like that. But I think the biggest jump, I started playing Lost Levels after AGQ 14. In fact, I was there. That was the first time I met a lot of people like TJP, who ran Lost Levels at AGQ 14, and Mitch and Cool Kid and all these names. And I told TJP, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna run Lost Levels. I want to run the original Famicom version Lost Levels at the next HDQ. And luckily, that happened. I submitted it and it got in. And that was my first big following boost. I think I was trying to get partner. I kept getting denied. I got denied and accepted the same exact day, which is kind of funny. But it was my first GDQ. I think I had about 7,000 followers ish.
Yeah.
After streaming, and then after that GDQ, I had like 20,000. I had like 10,000 followers. Someone, in fact, I was sitting beside Mitch. I remember and because he had that kind of string set up at HDQ, and he was like, "Yo, check your following." I'm like, "Huh?" And I looked at this thing, and I was like, "Oh my God, you just got like 6,000 followers." I'm like, "What?" And by the end of the week, I had like doubled my following count. And it was just like, "What?" And it was kind of unreal because I was more so nervous, just like it's my first GDQ run. I don't know what's going on. I'm a new face. They're gonna judge me, and I was like, "Yo, once I do my run and they clap for the first trick I get, I'm like, okay, I'm good now. I'm good." And I get past that initial, like, that fear when you first do your run, because it's once I'm over that, man, it was good, man. And that was when it first kind of I got a following from that. That's when it kind of started.
Cool. Yeah, that first run GDQ fear is quite something, but it's an enthralling feeling though, but after the first run, it's like you just want to do more. You get so used to it.
I was in a zone. I'm like, dude, there has not been a GDQ that has gone by that I have not submitted a run for. Like,
right.
I mean, not just that, but there's so many other events. In fact, I mean, I was mentioning like in April, there's a lot of speedrunning events coming up in April that have nothing to do with GDQ. Like Pace, for instance, that I'm participating in, and some other ones. And dude, I just love doing it, man. I mean, it's a good way to, show off your skills. You get to bond with so many other people in the community. I mean. There's a really good side of speedrunning. Sometimes we more so hear the negative aspects of it, but man, there's so far many great people in the speedrunning community that people really realize. It really is.
And events are the best place to meet them. So yeah, totally agree with you.
Oh yeah.
So okay, once and for all, let's get this GDQ banning thing to rest.
Yeah. We gotta talk about it.
Someone let me know when I got banned, because I missed it.
You had some awesome runs in GDQ. You had amazing couch appearances, great donation reading appearances. You did donation reading for my run at GDQX, and it was awesome.
Dude, I've done a lot of donation reading lately.
Yeah, but like one flash of an NES golf game. You mentioned that golf game thing.
Let me tell the world and remind them about this again.
Yes.
First of all, I've never been banned from a GDQ, okay?
Right.
I hate to say it. I'm going to put it out there. Some people, and you all know who you are, take any kind of information you think could be somewhat towards the negative to monetize a YouTube video, make a little profit, get a little views, get some subs. You know who you are, all right? So here's what happened. In fact, I had to roll it back. So God, it's been so long now. Let me remember. Those old people can't remember stuff.
It was SGDQ 2015.
Yeah, SGDQ 2015. So... as I mentioned, I was running NES Open, and we were trying to get that game in over and over again. Now, someone told me on my very first GDQ, before I even ever submitted a game, they told me, John, GDQ really doesn't like the golf games. I'm like, man, I'm going to get it in, man. I can do it. Okay, yeah, that never happened. But the thing was, SGDQ 2015, I was doing my Lost Level SNES run. So Etta Bing was the current host at the time. And so she read a comment that said something along the lines of, put this towards the golf donation incentive. Oh wait, maybe next time. And so I was like in the middle of my run, like in Lost Levels, you got a lot of breaks in between stages. And so my bag was right in front of me. I was like, yo, give golf a chance. So for some reason, they turned it into ooh. So of course, if I gotten a run the next GDQ, it wouldn't even matter. But they're like, oh my God, he got banned. Ain't nobody get banned, because this is what I said. I talked to the staff because they brought it up potentially, and I said, look, and especially it's kind of funny now because I've been on the other side now. I've been on the hosting side now since that has happened. And I said, if there was ever an issue with a comment being read or me reacting to a comment, then it should never have been read in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I said, I don't control I'm trying to be a good runner, a good entertainer. So if someone's going to read a comment about a game I run, I'm going to be a good entertainer to an audience and respond to it like, hey, give golf a chance.
Yeah.
That's all. And I told him, and now, interesting enough, at my very first GDQ run at age GDQ 15, someone mentioned golf during my run. In fact, I think it was Doug Fist that said, "Hey, Big John, this doesn't look like golf." And I was like, "Hey, I think I see it like maybe one day." So I mean, it's not like it started by me. I'm like, people are asking me stuff, so of course I'm not gonna be that guy to ignore somebody. I mean, just it was meant totally unintentional. So someone approached me at the next GDQ, age 16, about it, and they said, "What was that golf cart?" I'm like, "Dude, that's was trying to just be entertaining to the comment that was read." And they said, "Okay, no biggie. Here's your badge. Have a good one."
So there was
that was the end of it.
There was no voice of God in the ear saying, "What are you doing? Stop doing that right now!" Like they have now.
Yeah, we don't have those like sportcaster things in the ear, nothing. Yeah, it was nothing. Let me tell you what behind the scenes. For people who don't really know, when you're doing a run, we don't see the chat or nothing. However, if you've ever been in the stream room when the run has happened, if you're doing something that's out of line or inappropriate, someone on the staff will usually hold up like a sign that says, "Hey, stop on that," or "Chill out," or "Don't do this," or they'll let you know.
Okay.
The audience never sees it. I'm sorry, the viewers from the Twitch streams won't see it, but if you're in the stream room, you'll see it when you kind of get out of line. Yeah. And dude, they were over there clapping for me and happy as I don't know what. I mean, I think I did a doggone good run, and there was never any issue because fast forward, that was I got to run. I had to run the next SGDQ. I was couching. I was commentating. I got lost levels in 5 times. Had the Mario Maker relay race. I didn't go because I got sick. But dude, I had all these runs in. I'm like, well, how in the world am I getting banned if I keep getting the run or I keep doing commentary? I'm sitting on the couch. Like, is there something I'm missing?
Yeah, let's put that to rest. Yeah, so everyone, let's put it to rest today. Big John was never banned from GDQ, and he never will be, hopefully. Yeah, so this.
But I feel quite honored that people are just so into what's going on. I mean, it brings viewers to my stream, so hey, I guess it's
probably.
All
right, so
but yeah, man.
There we go. We got that settled. Big John was never banned, so stop saying it, guys.
Yeah.
But okay.
Hey,
so
if you got more questions, go ask GDQ staff. If you really gotta know all of my business,
There you go.
That's all good.
So in the last few years, as you know, competitive side speedrunning is really blowing up. The last 2 years, I'd say, really getting huge. You were someone that was kind of a spearhead of this too, with Speedrun Battle Arena. Right when that kind of started, these leagues were kind of coming too, and you did do the first Battle Arena. The second one you didn't make happen because it was tough to compete, right? Could you talk about that a little bit? What was going on there? Why you didn't do the second one? Why the first one happened and the second one didn't?
Yeah, I realized that, and this is kind of part of the reason I did Speedrun Battle Arena was the fact that, esports and speedrunning is very, very new. It's very, very in its infancy, and I wanted to do something that not only did that, but I realized that there's a lot of other games. There are so many good, like for instance, I've run some Mario games, I've run a lot of Sonic games, some Mega Man games and stuff, and there's a lot of really good players in some of these series that they're not the most popularly viewed games on Twitch or in the speedrun community. And I was like, I want to provide something that can show off the skill on not just the OTs and the SM64s of the game, but these smaller Sonic titles, the ones that may not have like a community of like 100, but they have like a really tight niche 15, or like something like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, where there's a huge community. These are people who don't necessarily get a lot of viewers, but I want to provide them an opportunity as well to show off their skill because they're just top tier players. And I really wanted to do something in a competitive nature that not only can show off their skills, but hey, we can give them a prize on top of it. And the first one was really, really good. We had a good turnout. We gave over $2,000 away.
Yeah.
Between 20 people, 20-ish people, and it was really good. So in the second one, I wanted to do it again, but I realized since the first one, there's a lot more things happening. There's a lot more tournaments. There's a lot more competition. I mean, Twitch got stuff. GSA has got stuff. There's a lot of local events going on, and I realized that even for me, balancing that with my own stream and involving myself in other charity events, I'm like, man, I'm really kind of spreading myself a little thin.
Yeah.
I don't want to neglect my own stream because, I was doing a lot of commentary for like the Link to the Past tournament, which is pretty cool. But it's just like I can't forget my home base, my main people who watch me and who follow me for years and years and years. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to rush and seem like, oh God, I wish I had somebody. I said it's just easier to just cancel this one, come back at a later time when I have less on my table, less on my plate, should I say. because it's a lot. I would love to do it, and I don't have to like take out say 10 games and cut it down to say 3, because I wanted to involve a big variety. Like I had things like getting over it as a possible option.
Yeah,
Right.
Dude, there's tons of people who run that game. I'm like, God, that game is like hundreds and hundreds of people, you know. But just to see like a new title, and of course, if you do an event like that and you have a pre-chosen list of games, there's always gonna be somebody who's like, oh, where's this game? You know, you can't please everybody. You're gonna fail every time you try to please everyone. So, but I said I'm gonna come back, try it again later. You know, maybe I could get some backing behind it, or who knows? Maybe I'll merge with another group, maybe something that has more visibility, maybe more funding. Because you know, I don't make a cent off this. You know, I don't. Everything that's put into it, it's a crowd-funded thing. Everything goes back to the players.
Yeah.
You know. So, but I mean, I'm happy that I did it once, and it was a big success.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I made my little contribution to the competitive side of speedrunning. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, someone's got to start these kind of things. You know, someone's got to take the initiative for these things. You can't just all sit and wait for someone else to do it. Someone's got to get the ball rolling. So I feel like I helped that ball roll, you know, amongst other people as well.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah, a lot
point.
of people tend to do that. They tend to be like, well, when is somebody gonna do this? Oh wait, I can do it. You know, so you just gotta go
Yeah.
for it, right?
Yeah, even if it
Yeah,
takes
right.
those kind
It's-
of unsuccessful tries, you know, it takes a lot of unsuccessful tries to make a new speedrunning event. You know what I mean? Like that's a good point for sure.
Yeah, and not just an event, but just like anything. Just like I remember way before speedrun.com even existed. So I was like, who's gonna make the site that has like a one kind of primary place we go to look for speedrunning? And I remember Pac, before he even started stuff, is like, you know, he was trying to get stuff together and stuff. And I was like, hey, someone's got to get the ball rolling. Now look at it. It's like that's the primary site when you're looking for something speedrun related. I mean, there's still other little sites that have been previously established, but you know, that's number one right now.
Yeah.
Turned into
Alright,
his
so-
career basically. But anyway, yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
go ahead, Cheese.
So, Pace, you mentioned we talked a little bit about Pace before we started this interview.
yeah.
You'll be a runner at the upcoming Pace in 25th of April. It's a very tough time slot, you know. It's right after the big 120 stories.
They set me up.
How do you feel about it?
Dude, I'm happy, man, because here's the good things. I was mentioning to someone on my stream, like, you know what? I'm like, okay, so we got all these people, all these gods of Mario, of 3D Mario, and you got Knucklehead Cheese up there, and Simply, and shout out to Simple Flips, and the return of Siglemic, and all these people. I'm like, so I was like, maybe first of all, since there are gonna be 5.3 trillion people watching that, I'm like, yo, I can have some of that viewership leak over to my game.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, you know, so I'm not gonna do any BLJs or nothing like that. Hey, I can jump, I can fly with a bunny ear, and hey, but so I'm pretty stoked, man. I mean, just having a chance to even participate at all, because you know it's cool for me because Pace is local to me. It's here generally in the DC metro. Really no farther than I drove when AGQ was local to me as well. So I'm pretty hyped, man. I get to show off some Mario. I actually play a game that's not Mario Lost Levels for once, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
You
it's
know?
good. I mean, I think it shows they had confidence in you to be that next person, because that is kind of Siglemic's return, and the three other titans of Mario 64 are going to be there's going to be a lot of people watching for sure, and
Man.
they counted on you to be that. Hey, don't go away. We still got some good stuff coming, and it's
See,
BigJon, you know.
See, I would think more like, okay, they're gonna have me as like the hype man to like get them ready for the big event, and it's like, no, I'm like the dessert after the main course or something. So, but yeah, it's
Good
pretty
way to
hype,
put
man.
it. Good way to put it. And you like to call yourself the big chocolate, so it's perfect.
I mean, who doesn't like dessert? I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, man.
One more
So-
question I want to go is your stream, I say, is the kind of opposite, speaking of Siglemic. You remember Siglemic's old streams where it was a screen and a game, and that's it. You watch a guy play a game. Your streams kind of had the opposite effect. You got a lot of stuff going on. You got awesome, animations and stuff. Is that, can you talk about that? I think you kind of were one of the first people to have that kind of crazy level of stuff going on. And that goes to your
So-
skills, right? You have the skills to do that yourself, right? To make that stuff.
Well, see, let me tell you what. So the thing was, when I first joined, you that first time stream is like, okay, you look at someone's stream, okay, I gotta have an alert, I gotta have a follow alert, I'm gonna have this top donor,
Yeah.
last follower, third follower, everything, and so so way back when, I think it's kind of discontinued, but like Night Dev was the stuff that people were using in that time frame before Streamlabs or previously Twitch alerts and all that stuff. So I was using their stuff, but I was like, with me being a programmer, I do my kind of, with the game show design stuff I do, like, okay, I gotta find out some way to kind of make it my own brand, my own thing, because I'm like, I'm sure I can figure this out. So I took some time to kind of learn the Twitch API, or like at the time I was using StreamTip, of course. Now using Streamlabs and stuff. So I was like, as long as I can access the data and find out a way to access the data, I can do what I want to with them. So that's when I use my game show, because if anyone that watches my stream, my sub alert most of the time is some variant of Price is Right, unless I'm playing a different game. So I literally have made different alerts based on kind of what I'm playing. So I've like got my own Resident Evil alert. I've got like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire alert. I've got a mix of Price is Right and Mario into one alert. I've got a lot of stuff, and I wanted to kind of have like that's me, like that's my brand. Like I wanted to have my own thing. That was unique to me, because a lot of people use the same stuff, but I think part of Twitch, and just in general, you kind of want to stand out. You don't want to just be like the majority, but it's those unique things that people see about you. Like, oh man, how did you do that? Like I do my own chat stuff. Like they can actually see their own avatars and stuff. They're like, how do you do that? I'm like, don't worry about it.
I ask that question every time I watch it. Every time I watch a stream, I ask myself, how does he do this?
Yeah, man, I have like 2 programs running on my computer. I have one that is basically interacting with the chat. So I read all the chat stuff, and chat is like IRC based. So I basically parse all that stuff just like that, and we parse out the message, their sub badge, the chat color, their all their badges they have, their and do it all in a moment's notice, so it shows on my chat. And I usually have the chat on my layout most of the time, because we all know eventually some of the Twitch videos, when they get old, the chat's gone, and you kind of want to see the chat's reactions.
Yeah.
So that's why I usually leave chat on my streams. But that's just what I've been doing, man. I've got that, the game show feel and Price. I mean, people love it, man. I mean, it's just a thing I've always done, man. It would not be me if I didn't do that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just been. It's just been a unique thing, because when people come in the stream, they see it with the first time, like, whoa, how did you do that? Because, like, I don't know if you ever seen it, like, when someone tips in my stream, I generally have, like, a little spinner, and the numbers are spinning around, and you never know what it's going to stop.
Oh, yeah, that's
sometimes
awesome.
Troll it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I troll it and make it stop on a number. It's not really the real number, and especially with the millionaire one. Like, the millionaire one is just like the show. Like, when someone says final answer, it's like, doom, doom, doom. You just see incoming tip.
Yeah.
And you don't know what it's going to be until it flips around. And it's just so cool, man. It's just stuff that it's a lot, because I do all my own stuff. So I'm doing all my alerts, the programming. I do all my layouts. I do, it's a lot, because a lot of streamers do this like either just pay someone to do the stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Gives you more time. But I guess that's kind of the responsibility and the pride I take in my own stream, is just, I can truly say my stream is my stream. Yep, I did that. And it's just what I do, man. I feel like I know so much, I should be able to apply it to my own stream.
Oh yeah.
That's actually crazy. I can't believe you did all that by yourself. I always thought that there was at least somebody giving you guidelines or giving you like templates or something.
Man,
that's even more crazy to me.
I'm just kind of figuring out as I go. I usually sometimes I may have like my own layout for just speed running. Or sometimes I may make a Mega Man theme layout, or a Mario theme layout, or whatever I'm playing, and it's just. And anyone that knows me, I always change my layouts. Like I change, I'm like, okay, I'm tired of this one. A couple of months, okay, new style. Just to give somebody something new to look at and whatnot.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, well, I think it's time we get any other question you want to ask, Cheese? Last chance with Big John here before we get to this or that.
No, I think we're good. I think we're good to go.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, John, we're gonna keep you around for our segment we like to call This or That, and that segment. This is pretty hype. So what we're gonna do is give you 2 choices of things, one or the other one, and you gotta choose the one you like. And you explain why. It's always good too. So Cheese, I'll let you go first. Which one is yours first? This or that for both me and John here.
All right. So this week I have something talking about events and stuff. So might as well keep on that kind of topic. So this or that. A lot of people see events that are going on and stuff, but like the thought, I guess, of attending the event never really comes across their mind. So I guess I have a question. would you personally, and you think that most people tend to think this way, people tend to prefer to attend an event to meet their favorite speedrunners and watch the runs live and get that experience, or people prefer to just watch it at home and they're like, nah, it's not worth the money for it. What do you think personally? What do you think about the community in that decision?
I mean, I would always say if it's financially possible to go.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of the events. Sometimes the only thing they have to judge is just what they see on Twitch, on the stream, the live stream.
Yeah.
And there is a totally unmatched experience by being on site. You know, all you see is stream room, that's it. But the stuff that happens, the impromptu races in the middle of nowhere. Let's do a 32-person OT blackout bingo, or the rooms, or all the other in-room activities, or just hanging out, doing an escape room out there. I mean, it's just so much stuff to do. I mean, things just happen on the spur of the moment. And like I said, if you're ever somewhere close to an event and you have the means or financial means to go or attend to it, dude, don't miss out. Even if you just do it one time, because you just cannot compare. A lot of the dislike of some events that you get can be nullified just by going and seeing it in person.
Right,
it's a whole
exactly.
other experience, man.
Yeah, I would say, like, on top of that, like, why, you know, for me, as someone that right after the classic games done quick, I moved to Japan like an idiot, and haven't been back to America since then. So I've not been to any events myself because I've just been in Japan for so long. So what I could say, talking to now, I talked to somebody, I've interviewed 100 speedrunners now, and there's so many people that have been around since the beginning, and they go to every single event, like you, John. You go to most events, and I really think it is that. Because it becomes a chance to meet with your friends, right? It's not just about, hey, we're doing speedrunning. We're running games fast. It's not like that. It's like, here's my chance to meet with friends that I never get to meet except twice a year. So that really makes you want to go all the time, right? You just keep going. So it just makes it takes to a whole other level of, like, people watching that only can watch like me. It's like, here's the stream room. That's what we see. That's the only thing we see. And as that's changed, right, some people think it's a negative as the changes have happened, right? Oh, there's a lot of empty seats. There's a lot of, it's not as cozy as it used to be. But what goes on around that has gotten even better, right? Because you guys can still, do all this other crap around there,
It's one of those things, and it's kind of funny as that, because the very first GDQ I went to, and this was AGQ 14. The first things I heard from somebody was like, "Oh my God, there's so many people here." Now, of course, to me, this is my first time going, so I'm like, okay, if you say so. I didn't have anything to compare it to. Now, of course, fast forward, 5 years, 5 AGDQs, 4. I'm like, man, because I had to think about, because I've done some stuff in, like, the TV stuff, and, like, you want to have enough seats for the packed games, obviously.
Yeah.
And people forget, hey, people actually go to sleep sometimes. You're not going to have 1,500 people awake at any given moment in the stream room. You don't want to have somebody knocked out on stream or nothing like that.
Which has happened quite a bit.
Yeah, used to happen.
Yeah, and oh, dude. So it's just like, I think like for GDQ, for instance, they tried that tight camera shot at my first GDQ with the angled it elsewhere, so you always saw, like, a setup that's kind of similar to older events with just a few people on camera versus the whole thing, and it's just a visual thing. And I mean, you ask any cinematic major or something, it's always about those tight camera shots. You don't want to make it look like, oh my God, is anyone even there at all?
Yeah.
But they kind of have been trying things with that or any other event, and
yeah.
That's what I said, man. You just gotta go, man. You just gotta go.
You gotta go, guys. All right. So, all right. My this or that is about, I guess, Cheese, you can answer this first, then John, you take it. Turbo controllers, right? Kind of a hot topic these days. Should they be allowed? Should they be allowed on the same leaderboard, or should they be allowed, but they got to have their own separate leaderboard? What do you think? A lot of people talk about carpal tunnel problems. Simply. Shout out to Simply.
Yeah.
He's messed up right now because of that. So should they be allowed? Should they be allowed, but have to have their own separate leaderboard? Cheese, you take it first, then John.
I guess you're referring to one of the things you're referring to, at least, is like the Smashbox thing that they had, where it's like the buttons and the joystick. It's kind of like the fighting pad.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
So I remember there was a video that I can't remember who made the video, a YouTuber, about the new Smashbox thing, and they made a video of them speedrunning with the Smashbox.
That's Apollo Legend.
And right, or Apollo Legend, and he was playing OOT and showing, look, you could do every trick in the game using this thing, and look how easy it is. It's like, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, and of course there was discussion about it in the Super Mario 64 Discord. Now, I don't think they ever came to a consensus on like, should we use this, should we allow this or not, and I think there was leaderboard talk actually too. I think personally my thoughts on it is like, it depends on the game, first of all, right? So, and in that sense, you will have to kind of like take a lot of games and test them in a in-depth speedrunning way to see if it actually like makes it easier or changes the game or not, or the experience. But I know for like OOT is a good example that I know that Smashbox could possibly make it a lot easier. And I would probably have to say, this is a tough one. I might be leaning on, if it does change the game and make it a lot easier in that sense, then you probably would have to get some sort of separate leaderboard system, because it would change things a lot.
Okay, so Cheese is game dependent, but sometimes okay, sometimes not okay. If it doesn't change the game too much, then it's okay. John, what about you?
I mean, I think one thing that I've always thought about, and unfortunately it doesn't really affect any game I really run, but I know that sometimes there's some devices that people can't afford. I remember remember OT, how like if you ran on the IQ, it was faster because there was no lag and stuff. And I was like, man, if you have an IQ, which is a pretty costly cost, you've got a leaderboard advantage over someone who doesn't. And I was always like, if it's something that someone has to purchase, it'd be a little unfair to those who may not have the means to make it happen. Right. I mean, even people who run on emulator, because not everybody has a computer, capture card, console. Those speedrunning is not necessarily cheap. When you're really trying to invest in the best you can have, forget like high quality capture, but just the bare necessities and stuff. Yeah. So it feels like it would almost be easier, because there are some games where your mashing is a skill.
Yeah.
Like Contra. Having a mash too fast in Contra is bad.
Yeah.
Having a too slow mash is not good. You got to have that perfect rhythm for instance, in the base levels, that straight spread shot. That's a skill. Yeah. Turbo would mess you up because it's going to go too fast.
Yeah.
Unless you have one of those toggleable switches like a NES Max or whatever the thing was and stuff. So, I mean, I feel like a lot of those games should probably roll to another leaderboard. I just to keep any like, well, you had a turbo control, no wonder you have a better time. It just nullifies that whole conversation. Just like a lot of games have MU versus console, because some there's actually a difference. Some the community says, hey, let's just keep them separate. Yeah. Because people might try to get a couple frames here, a couple frames there, and all of a sudden, whoop, you just swap leaderboard with somebody.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I don't care because I don't affect none of my games. Yeah. But it's just, I think it would be easier to separate those kind of things because of, hey, you had an advantage. You can just hold the button for 7 minutes, versus I have to sit here and give myself, issues. I have, physical hand issues. There's so many speedrunners who they can't stream, they can't play. Their hands are just gone.
Yeah.
From either moving or mashing and.
Yeah,
dude, we gotta have like a healthcare for speedrunning these days.
Yeah, I think that's true. It really depends on the game, of course. And I think if a whole community wants to agree on something, like RPG games are a great case where you might want to, the community might want to say, hey, let's do this, because all you're doing is mashing text boxes. So like that's not really a skill. That's just about bamming A as much as you can, and that really can mess up your hand. But like to Contra, like you said, that really is, you have to time it. There's timed rhythm that you have to get to make your mashing successful. So that's kind of a interesting thing. But in the end, again, if you want to just have fun and speedrun whatever you want, do whatever you want, right? If you don't care about leaderboards, do whatever you want. Yeah. Go ahead, Cheese.
Turbo controller, bust out ZSNES as your emulator. Hey, who cares?
There are actually, adding to that, the text mashing point, there are actually some games, and I know OT is one, where how you skip the text or how you read the text, you can optimize reading text and pressing A or whatever. When the text box is like ready to be skipped or to be switched to the next one, you can optimize text reading, and it's actually a thing. And when I ran OT, hopefully soon again, but when I did, I would notice many times in cutscenes where I would notice that I lose a second or two because I'm not paying attention to the text. So that actually can be, it can be a factor in the whole turbo controller thing. But
Interesting.
They say those frame perfect matches, like you press the button for like the A button shows up on the dialogue, and
yeah,
I mean you can save a frame, and I mean hey frames add up. Look at Mario
They
1.
add
I
up.
mean, God, man.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's something I think it's worth talking about more in depth and being, but yeah, that's how it goes. Okay, so I got a second one for you guys.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So, Smash and Splash 5. We talked a little bit about it on the last episode. Smash and Splash 5. GSA is well, they invited GSA to be part of their event. GSA is gonna do some stuff there too, some league finals or whatever. So, since Smash and Splash is a huge Smash event, you know, there's some talks about GSA doing something with Smashers, right?
Okay.
So I want to know what you guys prefer to see at an event or at this kind of event. Would you rather see a quote-unquote Smashers do speedrunning for the first time kind of challenge, or a speedrunners battle it out at Smash kind of challenge?
Ooh, okay, I'll go first real quick.
Which is-
I think
Yeah.
I don't enjoy watching people do something poorly. You know what I mean? So like for me, I'd rather
Okay.
see the high level. You know, so like I would rather. And I care about the personality of the speedrunning, which I think the viewers would care about more too. So I think people would more care to see Grand Pooh Bear and BigJon face it out in Smash than they would care about seeing these big Smash people try to do speedrunning. That's what I think. I think more people would like to see the speedrunners play Smash than the other way. But John, I'll let you answer too.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you watch me play, I'm the guy who just mashes buttons, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
find one move I like, and I like it. That's all I do. I'm the most predictable player ever. So, speaking of Turbo, I just hope that my speed at mashing whatever attack I like is better than your natural skill at the game, and hopefully I win. I mean, I think it'd just be cool to see that side of it. You know, I mean, it's really cool, in my opinion, to see people who you know are so good at one game and see them in a totally different skill
Yeah.
set and environment.
Yeah.
You know, like I would love to see Cheese just bust out a Mega Man 2 run one day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just first of all, forget 3D. You don't need no analog stick. You just need a D-pad, A and B,
Yeah.
and a start button. Time. You know, and I think it's a really good watch. I think people like that.
Yeah.
They really enjoy that. I'd watch it.
Okay, so I got the last one here, and this one just for you, John. So if you had to choose between this or that here, commentating, donation reading, or running, pretend you can only do one for the rest of your time at GDQ. Which one would you choose? Running?
Oh my lord, this is a hard one.
You know what? I have done so much hosting lately, and I mean, I would have to say running because one, when you're a host, you wanna make sure that the crowd is hype and stuff, but it's not about you. It's about the runner, and I want to be on the runner side. I mean, I get to show off my games. I can still interact with everybody, be funny, do good. I really enjoy when I have a run. Having a run is really cool. I think it's when you get to really show off all you have to your audience and your viewers. You know, you can. I mean, especially if you're really a good personality. You know, you can be entertaining, show off the skills of the run, not get too technical. Like, okay, here I'm going to do a precision. No, you don't have to do all that kind of stuff, but have a good time. I think I would have to lean towards doing runs, man. As much as I love reading, but dude, some of y'all runners don't give us a chance to say nothing. You know, we
That's
can't
true.
read no donations.
That's
Y'all
true.
are
That's
so
true.
involved in that game, man. It's like, okay, I'm like, man, like, and then when I get a chance, I barely get the donation out. So I would lean towards being a runner if I had to only do that. Yes, give me the runs.
But geez, I would
I'd have to
guess.
second that.
I would get. Yeah, I was gonna guess you'd say runs. That's why I didn't ask you. I figured you'd just say runs. Is that true?
Yeah, I definitely have to second that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, when you go to an event and you have a run, it's like you constantly have this feeling of like excitement, looking forward to it and waiting for it to happen. And it's like the best reason to go to an event for me, at least. I'm guessing BigJon might feel the same way.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's like the best of both worlds, man. They can not only just
Yeah.
hear you, but they can hear you and see you, and you play a game at the same time. It's pretty cool.
All right, so that was this or that, and let's get to our last thing here, John. Thanks, John, for your time here. Let's get to our last segment, which is going to be ALT's crazy idea. So I share one of my ideas for speedrunning in some way, and you guys tell me if it's a good idea, bad idea, or what's wrong with it. Okay, so my idea this time has to do with marathons, and could be used to pace even. So this is called, I got to shout outs to Edenall on my Discord, Edenall, the ESA creator, because it's kind of his idea, but it's called the Dirty Run Back, right? So what would happen is during the week of a marathon, or during whatever 3 days of a marathon, anytime someone has a run, it goes into a donation incentive kind of pool where you can choose it for a donation incentive. So let's say, Cheese, you run Mario 64 16 star on the second day, and John, you run NES Golf for the third day. Now, from that point, whenever your run's over, people can donate to that game, and the person with the highest amount of donations for this kind of new Dirty Run Back incentive gets to run the game again before the finale of the marathon at the last day. You know what I mean? So it's a chance to see someone do a run again. You know, it's like, for example, Dr. Fatbody's run at GDQ last time, right? Clearly was one of the best. Everyone loved it. There was no negative word said about it. Most people said it was the best run of the marathon. I think if people knew they could do that, they would donate a lot of money for that. And you get to see it again. Of course, it wouldn't be the same run. It would be, maybe you couldn't live up to the magic, of course, but you take your chances there. What do you guys think about that? The Dirty Run Back, chance to donate more money to get see a run again in a marathon. I guess, John, we'll go to you first.
I think it's a good idea. Here are my two caveats with that one.
Okay.
One, if you have someone who like follows a streamer who's like really, really wealthy,
The whales.
you might have someone had a really good run, and they don't have like, oh yeah, you've got that one donor in your check who always drops $1,000 every day, versus the one who might get $1,000 in a year. Like, oh, they might kind of leave them hanging. You'd be at the mercy of like the whole crowd, like the people watching, like, oh, kind of save them. And I think I would make it a little bit different.
Okay.
I would say if the run is so good, since it would kind of be like a little used for them to already have done their first run, I say let them have another run, but give them a different game.
Okay. If that was possible.
So that way
yeah.
they kind of see new content and the same hype up runner, you know?
I like that. Cheese, what do you think?
I mean, I second that with BigJon. But I think there might be a problem though. Like, if they bring the runner back and they're like, oh, you have to do a different game. Why don't you do this game? They'll probably have to give the option to the runner to choose the second game, because I think one of the big problems would be that if they tell them, hey, you know, you're coming back again, but we want you to do this game, and the runner tells you, well, I didn't bring my console for that game, or I didn't bring my game, I didn't bring my controller.
Oops.
You know, that could be an issue. So it's like they might have to give the option to the runner of which game they want to run again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Possibly.
We're speedrunners. We're supposed to be prepared at any given time now. If you're in an event like that, you should have every console and game with you anyway.
Another problem is
I mean, I agree with you. Yeah.
Some people don't stay the whole time. That's another problem. The big problem is some people don't stay the whole time, right? Some people have a run on Monday and they don't stay till Sunday, right? But could be an issue too. So, but yeah, it's just something to think about for sure. That's the point of the crazy idea there. But okay, guys, that was awesome. John, you were awesome. Anything you want to tell us about? Where can we? Obviously, we can catch you in your streams and stuff like that. But what else can you? Anything you can share with us? Is hype stuff coming up for you?
My name is renamed now, so it's just BigJon now. Easy to find.
Yeah.
No more of that. Can't find me on Twitch anymore. I don't know, man. I mean, thank you. Oh, shameless promotion.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll be participating in upcoming events like Pace.
Oh.
Coming up in April. Speaking of ESA, Blast the Process. Blast the Process 3 is coming up on ESA as well. In fact, it's actually being hosted on ESA's channel this year.
Okay.
So I'll be running a couple of games in that. None Mario games, because Blast the Process is all about Sega games. So Blaster Master 2 and
Yeah, I was about to say
3 and Knuckles. So that's pretty cool. And yeah. Oh, and don't forget Retrothon.
There you go.
On Retro Gaming Live. It's a whole week event. That's a whole week. It's tons of runners in that one. It's hundreds of runners. So I'll be running 4 games in that. None of them lost levels.
Wow.
So, but yeah, man. But just, hey, thank you all for having me on. It's pretty good. This is my first podcast, if you can believe that.
Oh, really? Wow.
I actually can't. Okay.
Yeah, man. Well, the first one that was talked about, and we actually did it.
Okay,
so,
there you go.
So I appreciate it, man. I definitely appreciate it, and hope you all can, if you want to, drop a follow. Drop I don't know. Hopefully they're right there.
Pretty
I hope
close.
that's where they're going to be at.
Pretty close.
So
Somewhere there,
somewhere. Make sure y'all give them some love anyway, because this guy, one guy's on his stuff and another podcast, and of course, if you don't know Cheese, where you been?
Yeah.
So,
All right, John. Thanks for your time. Keep rocking. You're gonna keep rocking forever, I know. But yeah, good luck with everything, and thanks for coming down today.
thanks a lot, guys.
Cool.
See you later.
Oh my god, this is down to the dumb clip. This clip is gonna determine it.
Oh my god! You even got it faster!
Oh my god.
What?
What?
What just happened?
That is crazy.
Oh my gosh! What in the world did I
Wow.
just witness?
This race is still insanely close.
Yeah, I didn't think it'd happen, especially since we have forks left. We have some just minor mistakes could happen. For example, rolling in the wrong direction because like the poly geography.
Dude, oh my
like,
god, dude, sink!
the sink.
Oh my god! This is insane! Like, this is
like-
actually crazy.
What is this? It's like basically sink.
Oh, this is crazy!
What?
Aggie actually pulling ahead a little
I
bit.
need like 0.2 ahead. I can't do this.
Oh my
What is this?
This is insane! Oh my!
It's actually sink now. It's
Dude,
the same
most
thing.
satisfying forks ever.
What? It's
Oh!
oh my god.
No!
Oh, no! Aggie,
Oh,
no!
dead! Oh no!
Oh, no!
Oh!
No! The sink! It's
No,
over!
the
It's over!
sink. It's over. I feel
No.
really bad for Aggie there too, though.
He's
Oh.
up. He has to like hope that Toast Rider just gets really
Nice
invested
elevator
in that
movement.
Marvel movie.
Commentator bringing up past horrors. Toast Rider watching movies. Can't
This is
focus.
One throw.
Climax approaching.
This is so scary, dude. One missed throw. If he misses another, he can lose.
Rock Chalk in the house winding up. Toast Rider, another missed throw!
He
And that's
missed.
one throw for Rock Chalk, the game that he needs to be in the top 8 for the playoffs. Is Rock Chalk 19 gonna make it today?
He missed, I
looks like
think. Wait, no, he
that's a
got
hit.
it.
And that's right behind me. No!
Wait,
No
no.
rebound for Rock Chalk!
Toast Rider wins, I
Oh, no.
think. Wait, no,
That's
he
a missed throw from Toast! And Rock Chalk lands it and takes the W! Last moment, you couldn't ask for a better race, a more historical moment in the 70-star league. Rock Chalk creeping on the outside, but that is going to push him into the top 8.
That's insane.
Awesome highlights there, put together by the wonderful D Whatever. Next up, we have a debate between Runnerguy2489 and dannyb21892, two huge names in the Ocarina of Time community, been around for a long time. The question we gave to them was, should Virtual Console and Nintendo 64 have their own leaderboards on speedrun.com? What do you think about that, Cheese?
Right, so this has been a topic in OOT for years. It's always been a debate, back and forth in the community. And, as things stand right now, the leaderboards are all together, and it's always been like that pretty much since the beginning. So, there's a few questions that we want to bring up here, and these two guys are very keen on being part of this discussion. So really excited to hear, the differing opinions. But yeah, competition leaderboards, they go, they're really close together.
Yeah.
And, sometimes that's one of the questions, like, is competition overlooked sometimes? Do we think that leaderboards need to be taken more seriously, or is it more of like a casual approach and more of kind of just like the comfort within the community of what they think is I guess easier to deal with? And with that said, let's get right into it. Let's introduce these guys. All right, welcome everybody to our second interview. Less of an interview, more of like a discussion type thing. So we have a pretty interesting topic that's been in the OOT community for years and years. It's always been something that has been they've had a lot of opinions back and forth. And today we have two very prominent members of the OOT community, Danny B and Runnerguy. How you going?
What's up?
Hello.
Basically, we're just gonna have another discussion on this topic, which is basically leaderboards. Leaderboards in Ocarina of Time, leaderboards on speedrun.com. basically it's where all the PBs go. It's where all the competition is in speedrunning, right? A lot of people would say. So we're gonna have a little discussion here on what these two think about the current situation on the leaderboards, and should it be separated? Should it be kept how it is right now? And yeah, so we're gonna start with Runnerguy first, I guess. Give us a little bit of insight on what your thoughts are on how the current situation is on the leaderboard system and what you're thinking.
Well, I've probably for many years now kind of wanted to see the N64 and Virtual Console kind of split. It's always felt I've always been a Nintendo 64 runner, and oftentimes it's not always been, but oftentimes it just feels like if I'm going to be playing on Nintendo 64, I'm already at an automatic disadvantage, and it kind of I lose some motivation in regards to trying to strive to, be at the top of the leaderboard, knowing that I already potentially can't. So
I guess for clarification, I guess for everyone listening, what is how much difference does it make, right? I guess is a good thing to say, so people out there know. How much of a difference does it make from VC and the 64 Runnerguy?
Well, I mean, it obviously depends on the category, but I think one of the major points to split them would be that in a lot of the major categories, the routes are not just it's not just one or two things that's different. The routes are quite different. Like VC is off doing its own thing with using Deku Sticks as adult, which the Nintendo 64 can't do. And Nintendo 64 is doing Eyeball Frog early in some cases. So, or getting bottom of well choose with blank A. So there's entirely different tricks, which leads to entirely different routes. So it's really not even just comparing, say, lag. There are actually two essentially different routes. And I've just always felt if the routes are going to be that different, if it's a big enough community, you have people that have a preference for VC or N64, that they should kind of be competing against, themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Danny, what do you think?
So I have pretty much the exact opposite opinion. So you chose the two of us pretty well. So, I mean, for me, I feel like the fact that N64 and Virtual Console are so different is exactly why it's so interesting to mix them, because it's not like at any point one of them is always going to be better than the other in another category. Like routes are found for one or the other, or tricks or glitches are found for one or the other that completely reverse the entire scheme every once in a while. And so one console will all of a sudden be better than the other. Like 100%, for example. 100% for years was dominated by N64 and VC had no chance. And now a year ago, that completely reversed. And so I think it's really cool to see VC at the top of the leaderboard now when it never had a shot before. And I mean, of course, comparing against people who are on the same console and running the same route as you is important, though. I completely agree. We do have a filter, though. So if you just turn off VC runs, it basically reduces to that leaderboard. So it kind of has it has both sides of the coin, right? You can compare against everybody and see what console is currently the best for the category and see how much better it is. But you can also just filter, and then it becomes whatever leaderboard you want it to be for each individual console.
I have a question.
Yep.
About the filtering in particular. Yeah. If I filtered for 100% right now and 64, what would the fastest time be?
Pop quiz. I mean, I assume it would be. Oh, I guess does it not show ZFG's 410?
I'm not sure. I actually don't know that. If it does, yeah. Because I mean, as you flip back and forth, as you said, 100% flipped back and forth several times, and for years it felt like Virtual Console was essentially abandoned, right?
Right.
If the leaderboards were separate, I feel like over those years you would have had both of them kind of competing, not meshed together, as you said, but you'd still have Virtual Console players that would be working on routes, whereas that route was completely forgotten about until, recently. And I agree that, the surge of people playing on VC, finding the route for that is super cool. And now it just feels like N64 is the one that's potentially been abandoned until some, new thing gets found. And it seems to me like there are more benefits of having both communities, both consoles kind of going at the same time rather than flip-flopping back and forth over the years. And I know 100% is kind of a unique case in that regard, where it actually has flipped back and forth, whereas some other categories might not necessarily switch back and forth as much. But
so I guess you feel like the existence of a separate leaderboard would do more to spur on the people who would play on the other console to like play more.
To play on the console that they would prefer, yeah. I feel like
Gotcha.
if they were separate, then you would potentially still have people working on the Nintendo 64 route. Whereas it seems like right now it's just, as soon as VC became faster, all of the momentum went there from both sides of the community, and I feel like there's a certain abandonment issue.
Well, there's definitely a bunch of people. There's an N64 Hundo Discord channel in the OT Discord, and there's
it does still exist.
a dedicated group of people who are still working on routes there. That some people still play on N64 even still, and they're working on stuff. So I mean, it would definitely be good if they could have their own leaderboard, I guess. But I don't think it really slowed down the development of that. Like there's some people who are like N64 purists, there's some people who are VC purists, and there's some people who will just always flip-flop for whatever's fastest because they just like playing whatever's fastest. I'm one of those people. I kind of just play whatever's fastest at the moment. But there's still like at least 5 people who are N64 purists for Hundo, and they won't switch no matter what, and they just are more interested in optimizing that category no matter what.
So I guess a quick question that arises is, what happens to the people that do prefer one platform, and then another platform takes the jump and it's way faster? What happens to those players who are like, damn, my N64 is not it's not viable anymore for 100%. It's just doesn't make sense. So what do? I feel trapped now. That's what happens to them, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you have to decide if you're going to care that much about what console you're playing on. You have to decide if you care about playing on that console in particular, regardless of what's fastest, or you have to decide on whether you want to play the fastest thing, right? And if you care about playing on the fastest thing, then the fact that there's two different leaderboards shouldn't even matter, right? There's another leaderboard where it's faster, so why not go over there? But if you just care about N64, then just play on N64. It doesn't matter what's faster. Like, for a long time, IQ was fastest for any percent, and plenty of people just didn't care. There's IQ is actually still faster for glitchless any percent, which is what I've been running most, and nobody cares. Nobody wants to even touch IQ, right? So it's just like sometimes you just don't care about another console, and you just focus on the one you're doing, and like the fastest time for that console might as well be your world record, because that's your universe.
It seems like, though, this is a really unique for this game, right? I mean, I'm not sure if it was because the IQ thing and Narcissa with the work with the IQ, it kind of set the precedent. But this is really unique to games, right? Like, you can use whatever that system you want now. It's VC or not VC, but it's still a different way to play the game, and that's not really done in any other game, right? I mean, there is no other game that has a system where whatever version you want to play is fine, right? I don't think so.
I think a lot of games allow multiple versions in this regard. I don't know that they have necessarily the problem that Ocarina of Time has, where there are so many versions available. And it has gone, switched between which one is fastest over time.
Yeah, I mean, we even have unresearched versions. Like, nobody really knows if there's anything unique on Wii U because nobody wants to play on Wii U. Like, there might be insanely cool glitches to be found on Wii U, but there's just no community behind it because nobody wants to play on it.
I'm gonna raise a quick question here. Another one. The leaderboards themselves. I want to know you guys' opinion. Do you think that people look at leaderboards, no matter what, you can't help the fact that people look at leaderboards as a competitive platform, and because of that, that's what drives a lot of people's opinion that it should be separated, because if they want to play an N64, they would have their N64 leaderboard, and people who look at the leaderboard can look at that and be like, oh, this is cool. I could follow the N64 guys and the VC guys. They're both doing their own thing on their own consoles. It's even more things for me to look forward to so that I can follow. What is your opinion on that? Do you think the OT community does not cater for the fact of for the competition aspect enough? Do they just prefer the kind of like, no, everything together? What is your opinion?
I personally think that they do. them being together doesn't necessarily change the competition aspect as much. I feel like if they're separate, then you kind of highlight certain strengths of certain individuals that prefer a console, but I don't know that competition-wise it necessarily. I mean, I can say that it doesn't deter people, but I feel like in some regards it might deter some people.
Just to build on that a little bit, like you mentioned earlier, does the N64 filter show ZFG's 410 despite the fact that ZFG has a better time now on Virtual Console? It does. I just tried it.
Okay.
So if someone wanted to filter out everything except N64 runs on the leaderboard, they're actually getting all of the best times on N64, even if somebody has obsoleted their own run on a new console. So that's a useful feature.
But
and definitely, yeah.
I was just going to add to that. Do you think that the filter aspect, it just takes away from the seriousness of the different platforms just because, let's say the top, like now the top 9 runs are VVC. It's like, okay, obviously VVC is the only one that matters. So like people see the filter, but they're like, oh, it doesn't matter because obviously VVC is the one to follow. And I guess that's what's kind of like, if it were separated, it's like, okay, look, you have everything separated here so everyone. All these could be really important in their own way. I guess.
Average person, might not. I don't care about a filter. I'm just gonna go to the page and see. Okay, well that's top time. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't have the, even know about a filter, right?
Right. And I think the speedrunners overall understand, the nuance of playing on N64 versus playing VC. But a lot of the viewers, when they ask what world record is, if you're on N64, you're going to have to explain, well, I'm going for this time, but the world record is this time. And do you just want to link them to the leaderboard? They're potentially going to, not quite understand what's actually happening between the two consoles. Is that a problem? Is that not a problem? I don't know if it's really a huge issue, but I feel like the speedrunners would understand. The viewers potentially, they're always the ones that kind of would get lost in the shuffle there.
Yeah, and that could be a complication.
Yeah, I mean, like when somebody asks what's the world record, like if you tell them the world record for the console I'm playing on is this, like it definitely lessens the impact of that statement.
Yeah.
Like if you tell somebody in Hundo right now you're going for a 405 on N64 when the world record is 353, like 405 might be an incredible run on N64. It might even be better than ZFG's 353 right now, but it doesn't carry the same weight for a lot of people. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the thing we have to do is, what's the goal, right? Do you want to make it so the community is hype and can understand the goals they're going for, or do you care about the ease of viewers and the people watching to know what's going on, right? So I mean, what do you think is more important there? Is it for ease of enjoyment of a category, watching a category, or is it for community building? Which is more important for you think, Runner? I guess I'll go with you first. What do you think is more important?
I tend to lean more towards whatever makes the runners themselves happy. If you have happy runners, you're going to have better quality runs overall.
I mean, community probably.
Yeah, and then the community, the runners are the ones that then exude that excitement, and that kind of feeds off of the viewers. If you try and cater too much to just making everything clean for the viewers, then it disgruntles some runners along the way. Then I feel like overall that's a long-term negative for the community overall.
Completely agree with everything that you just said.
If the runners are happy, I mean, I think that's the ultimate goal of a leaderboard or of any competition in speedrunning.
So I guess that raises the big question. What are you guys' opinion on the fact that if it will, what do you think will make the runners more happy at the end of the day? Separate leaderboards or keep it in how it is?
I think that most people are pretty okay